In March of 44 BC, Julius Caesar was the most powerful man in the known world, and he was profoundly alone. He had conquered Gaul, crossed the Rubicon, and dismantled a 500-year-old republic to place himself at its peak. But the man who had survived 1,000 battles was now haunted by something he couldn't defeat with a legion: an atmosphere of invisible daggers. He had been declared dictator for life, but in the halls of Roman power, forever was a very short time. To understand why the world's most brilliant general walked straight into a deadly trap, you need to see the city exactly as he did. We have used advanced artificial intelligence to reconstruct Rome as it stood on the morning of the Ides of March. A city of cold marble, restless crowds, and a republic breathing its final ragged breaths. Rome in 44 BC was not the pristine, organized metropolis we often imagine in cinema. Our AI reconstruction reveals a machine of power and poverty, chaotic, dense, and deafeningly loud. You can almost hear the iron-rimmed wheels of carts clattering against basalt paving stones and the cries of merchants in the markets near the Forum. This was a city under massive construction. Caesar's construction. He was tearing down the old symbols of the Senate to build the Forum Julium, ensuring that every stone in the city centre reflected his own image. The streets of the Subura district were thick with the smell of wood smoke, refuse, and the palpable tension of a population that didn't know if they were citizens of a free state or subjects of a king. Our reconstruction shows the monumental scale of these projects: dazzling white marble temples rising alongside wooden slums that could ignite at any moment. This was not just a city. It was a stage for living propaganda. And Caesar was its only director. Our reconstruction takes you inside the Domus Publica on the night of March 14th. Caesar was 55, his health was failing, and his sleep was fractured by seizures that many modern historians attribute to epilepsy. That night, during a dinner party at the house of Lepidus, the conversation turned to what kind of death was best. Caesar's answer was immediate, almost prophetic, the kind that is unexpected. He was a man who had gambled his life so many times that he had lost the instinct for fear. He had dismissed his Spanish bodyguards months earlier, convinced that his mere presence was armor enough, and that no one would dare touch the father of the fatherland. But as dawn broke, the omens were screaming. Our AI visualizes that grey, ominous morning, the flicker of oil lamps against frescoed walls, as Calpurnia, his wife, awoke from a nightmare where she saw the roof of the house collapse and Caesar dying in her arms. She begged him not to leave. For a single moment, the man who changed the course of history hesitated at his own front door, staring into the void of the Roman morning. While Caesar debated staying home, the machinery of his destruction was already in motion across the city. A group of 60 senators, many of whom owed their lives and careers to Caesar's mercy after the Civil War, were waiting. They called themselves the Liberators. To them, Caesar was not a savior, but a virus, a tyrant who had to be excised like a tumor to save the Roman soul. Our AI reconstruction shows the theatre of Pompeii, the massive stone complex where the Senate was meeting that day because the official headquarters was under renovation. It is a haunting irony captured by the reconstruction. The meeting was scheduled in the portico of Pompeii. Caesar would meet his end in a building commissioned by his greatest rival, under the very shadow of the marble statue of the man he had defeated years prior. The conspirators hid daggers beneath their voluminous togas, cold sweat mingling with expensive perfume as they waited for the man they called a friend. The walk from Caesar's residence to the theatre was a gauntlet of missed warnings that history has never forgotten. Our reconstruction captures the sensory chaos of that final journey. The dust kicked up by the sandals of thousands, the clamour of petitioners trying to hand over scrolls, and the famous encounter with the seer Spurina. Caesar, seeing him in the crowd, joked that the Ides of March had come and nothing had happened. The seer's response, reconstructed here with immersive audio, hung in the air like a death sentence. Yes, Caesar, but they are not yet gone. Shortly after, a man named Artemidorus tried to hand him a note detailing the conspiracy, but Caesar, surrounded by the human mass, never opened it. We show you the perspective of a man walking through a crowd where every smiling face and every "Hail Caesar" could be the last sound he would ever hear. Inside the theatre, the atmosphere was suffocating. The air was still. As Caesar took his golden seat, the conspirators closed in under the guise of a petition regarding an exiled senator. Our AI reconstruction slows down these final brutal seconds. The first strike came from Casca, a clumsy, panicked blow to the neck. Caesar reacted with the fury of a soldier, piercing Casca's arm with his bronze stylus. But then the blades came from every direction when he saw Brutus, the man he had protected and loved, advancing with a dagger. Caesar's resistance evaporated. It wasn't just the steel that killed him, it was the betrayal. He stopped fighting, covered his head with his purple toga, and collapsed at the base of Pompey's statue. 23 stab wounds. A republic's worth of accumulated rage poured into a single human body. The assassins ran into the streets shouting, "Liberty!" But what they found was the silence of terror. They believed that by killing the man, they would save the system. They were wrong. What followed was absolute chaos, a series of bloody civil wars, and the rise of a power even more absolute than Caesar's own. As you saw in this reconstruction, the fate of Rome was sealed not on the battlefields, but in the silent details of a March morning. If you want to see more historical reconstructions that bring the great moments of humanity back to life with this depth, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Your journey through history has only just begun. Caesar's death changed the DNA of power forever, but his story doesn't end here. The vacuum he left behind would ignite a fire that transformed a broken republic into the greatest empire the world had ever seen. Give this video a like if you want to see more AI-driven historical deep dives, and comment below, do you believe the conspirators were heroes fighting for freedom, or traitors who destroyed Rome?